Hi everyone, David McDonald here from Vitality Fitness Calgary. Today we're going to talk to you about 4 key ingredients to achieving your health and fitness goals, and to really achieving any goal for that matter. So these are some of the main things that we see a lot of challenges that clients have in terms of achieving their goals, these key ingredients. So first thing we're going to start with is focus. One of the biggest things we see in our industry, not just myself, but a lot of other trainers see this as well, is clients have a lack of focus with achieving their goals. And we see this in the form of what's called program hopping. And that essentially means going from one program to the next, to the next, to the next, or going from one nutrition plan to the next, to the next, to the next, without really consistently following through and sticking with that one plan or that one program. And it's really, really important that you pick a direction that you want to go and you stick with that direction for a long duration of time. Make adjustments along the way, but stick to that path for a long period of time and see what kind of results you get. I'll give you a really good example that'll help illustrate the point. So let's say that you had a golfer that was wanting to get better at their golf game. What's going to be the number one thing that you're going to work on with that golfer to help them improve? Well, you're going to work on their golf game. You're going to work on maybe their driving or their putting or their short game or their mental focus. You're not going to tell them, okay, I want you to play some basketball and I want you to play hockey and I want you to play baseball and I'm going to add in all these other sports on top of your golf game. What's going to happen to that golfer? He's probably not going to improve his performance. He's probably going to get worse because there's a lack of focus. He's not focusing on 2 to 3 key activities to help improve his game. So we see this a lot with clientele in the sense of, they might stick with a program for 6 to 8 weeks and then they hop to another one. And then you stick with that for 6 to 8 weeks, hop to another one. It might be boot camp and then yoga and then Zumba and then maybe they've taken up running. So there's a real lack of focus, which is part of the reason they're having a lot of frustration achieving their goals. And part of the reason why they're not seeing progress, because each of those activities demands a different level of skill and a different level of fitness skill, if you will. So focus is really, really important. So pick one direction to follow, pick one program to follow, pick one nutrition plan to follow, and stick with that, and stick with it long term. So that leads into my next point of follow through, in the sense of once you've picked a direction you want to focus on and you want to go to, then you need to follow through on that. And this is another area that people have challenges with, is once they've picked a direction, they follow through, but they don't follow through consistently and long term. When I say long term, I'm not talking about 6 to 8 weeks. I'm saying like long term in the sense of months and even years. So follow through is really important. You go back to our golf game example. If I was to have a golfer work on his golf game for 8 weeks and they say, you know what, I'm kind of bored, let's move you over here, we're going to work on basketball and we're going to have you play some hockey. Well, again, I've followed through and I've focused, but only for 6 to 8 weeks. And once I've broken that follow through for my original focus, I no longer have both. I don't have focus, I don't have follow through, because now I'm playing basketball or hockey. So that follow through and focus needs to happen long term. It needs to happen in duration of months and even years, which leads back into consistency. So doing this on a consistent basis. So some people might have a direction that they're very focused on. They might have followed through for months and even years, but within those months and years, were they consistent? Were they doing their follow through once a week for the span of a year, or were they consistently following through 2 to 3 times a week? So that's where consistency comes in the sense of you're getting that repetition in weeks and days and months on end. And that's what's going to really create that long-term progress. And that all leads back into doing all 3 of these long-term. And if you know anybody who's ever achieved any kind of success or positive result in any area, whether it be a career, a relationship, or health and fitness, they've achieved that because they've had long-term focus, follow through, and they've had consistency. So I hope that makes a lot of sense, and I hope you're starting to understand why that's important. One thing we're going to focus on future videos is we're going to focus on what leads to people lacking focus, follow-through, and consistency over the long term. A lot of it has to do with where you're at mentally and where you're at emotionally, where your commitment levels are emotionally and where they are mentally. We'll cover that topic in a future video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. I'm David McDonald from Vitality Fitness Calgary.